Teachers, what's the best smartass response from a student you've heard? I teach 11th grade chemistry at a school in Phoenix. Last September, one of my students, a quiet kid who sat in the back row, started coming to class with his younger brother. The kid was maybe 7 or 8 years old, just sat there coloring while we did experiments. Nobody said anything for the first week. Then our assistant principal walked in during third period, looked around the room like she was counting heads, and pulled me into the hallway. Why is there a child in your classroom? He's not enrolled here. My student's brother, I said. His mom works double shifts and can't afford childcare right now. I figured it's better than him sitting home alone. This isn't a daycare, she said. She needs to figure something out or he stops coming to school entirely. I'll handle it, I told her. The next day, the assistant principal sent an email to all the teachers. No unauthorized persons in classrooms effective immediately. Anyone violating this policy will face disciplinary action. My student stopped showing up, missed a whole week. When he finally came back, he looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. I asked him to stay after class. Where have you been? Can't come anymore, he said. Mom lost her morning job because I kept calling in sick to watch my brother. She's working nights now. I'm watching him during the day. You're 16, I said. You need to be in school. He just shrugged. What am I supposed to do? 2 weeks later, the assistant principal called a meeting. Your student has missed 14 days this semester. If he hits 18, he's getting expelled for truancy. We need documentation for every absence or he's out. I looked at her. His mom is a single parent working 2 jobs. He's taking care of his little brother because she can't afford childcare. What kind of documentation do you need for poverty? Policy is policy, she said. We can't make exceptions just because someone's life is hard. That's not how the real world works. The counselor jumped in. Maybe we could connect the family with some resources. There are programs. The assistant principal cut her off. He's had plenty of chances. At some point, we have to hold students accountable. He's 16, not 6. The door opened. My student walked in with his little brother holding a backpack covered in superhero stickers. The assistant principal straightened up in her chair. This is a private meeting. You can't just bring random children into the building. He's not random, my student said, his voice completely calm. He's my brother, and I'm not staying. I just came to drop off my withdrawal papers. You're dropping out. The counselor looked at him like he just said he was moving to Mars. The assistant principal leaned back. Well, that solves our attendance problem. My student looked right at her. You're right. The real world doesn't care if your life is hard. I learned that from you. My mom makes $11 an hour cleaning office buildings at night. Before she lost her morning job, she was making $9 an hour at a gas station. That's $20 an hour total for 2 jobs. Our rent is $400 a month. Childcare costs $200 a week. Do the math. He pulled out a crumpled piece of paper covered in pencil marks and crossed out numbers. I did. That's $800 a month for someone to watch my brother so I can sit in your chemistry class and learn about molecules. We can't afford that. So either my brother sits home alone and maybe gets taken away by CPS, or I watch him and get expelled for truancy, or I drop out now and save everyone the hassle. He looked at me. Thanks for letting him color in your class. That was the only week this semester my mom got to sleep more than 4 hours. Then he looked back at the assistant principal. You wanted to teach me how the real world works. Congratulations. I learned that schools care more about attendance policies than keeping kids off the streets. He walked out, took his little brother's hand and left. The room went completely quiet. The counselor closed her laptop. The assistant principal stared at her hands. I stood up. I'm going after him. I found him in the parking lot. His brother already buckled into the back seat of an old Honda. Told him to wait. I made some calls that afternoon. Found a program through the Boys and Girls Club that does free after-school care. Got his mom's schedule switched at her night job so she could do morning drop-offs. Called in a favor with a friend who runs a tutoring center. They hired him as an assistant for $15 an hour, working around his school schedule. He came back the next week. Brought his brother to the Boys and Girls Club every morning before school. The assistant principal never apologized. Never even mentioned it again, but she stopped enforcing that policy. Last I heard, she transferred to a private school in Scottsdale where every kid's parents can afford childcare. My student graduated last spring, gave a speech about his mom at the ceremony. Didn't mention the assistant principal once. His little brother sat in the front row.